Georgia Tech has the quarterback and the offensive weapons. Can the defense improve from the struggles they had last season? Find out tonight as I'm joined by the Rec Talk podcast on the ACC College Huddle. Welcome in tonight to another episode of the ACC College Huddle. I'm your host, Jeff Lowe, and I'm joined tonight by the Rec Talk podcast. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you for having me on.
That's great. Yep. We appreciate you coming on. We just want to talk a little Georgia Tech football. So we kind of get right at it. I know you're returning 10 of 11 of your starters on offense. And one of those starters, of course, is one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, and Haynes King. What are your thoughts? What's that?
Say that one more time.
Yeah.
Just
y'all return
best quarterback. I just wanted to hear it again.
Oh, I got you. I thought you couldn't hear me. He is, but he is one of the best quarterbacks. What are your thoughts on the offense?
Well, first of all, we have to give a shout out to Buster Faulkner. Like Buster Faulkner was an offensive assistant at UGA. And as far as Key's offensive hires, they've been fantastic. I do think we have one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks coach in the country in Chris Winkie. When you look at what he did with a third and fourth string quarterback against North Carolina, went up there and got a win and whatnot. Buster's done a great job. So offensively, I think we're going to be pretty good this year. Haynes King, the only thing with him is he's been a little bit turnover prone. And look, not every pick is the quarterback's fault. Not every pick is equal, but if he could cut his interceptions in half, I think you could have a really special season. I mean, he had a historic season at Tech last year. The only offensive starter we lost was a transfer offensive lineman that started. We have a freshman All-American and Ethan McKinney, who's I think been moved to guard now. We have another freshman that might start, kid out of Hiram, Georgia. I think it's Riggs, last name Riggs. So yeah, offensively, we're prone to be pretty good. Now, even though the numbers might maybe not be as good as they were last year, our schedule's like the 6th ranked hardest schedule in the country. But I'm excited for what we can do offensively this year for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to y'all's schedule in a bit because it definitely is tough. So Sports Illustrated ranked all the quarterbacks in the ACC, and they had Haynes King ranked as third best. That could go either way, up a little bit. Last season, of course, he threw 27 touchdowns. He ran for 737 yards. And you were just talking about this. I know he has 16 interceptions. I know that's one area of improvement I'm sure you like to see. Is there anything else you like to see out of him?
Well, with Haynes, just a little more consistency, and I think that it might seem a little oxymoronic, but some of that is some defensive issues too. When your defense is as bad as ours was last year, and it was bad,
right?
I think it puts a lot of pressure on your offense, and whenever you have pressure on your offense, a lot of that goes to your quarterback. So he might be forcing throws he wouldn't otherwise force. I mean, we were the worst Power 5 defense in the country last year.
Right. Yeah. So the receiver room, I think you guys have a lot of depth at receiver as well. I know you have your tight ends returning starter, I believe, Brett Seether, and a couple transfers have come in, and I know you already mentioned your offensive line is pretty much all returners. I think there's a transfer that may be starting on the offensive line this year.
Keelan Rutledge, he was actually in a car wreck. I don't know how serious it is.
Right.
I mean, it's been like a month or two ago, but that's why we've got a true freshman that stepped up.
Okay.
Hopefully he'll be healthy for the season, but we got some pretty good depth at offensive line. As far as wide receiver, I think we only lost like Dominique Blaylock last year. So, and really improved at the tight end room. We got a kid named Jackson Hawes out of Yale that looks pretty good, and then a guy named Godey.
Yeah, I saw.
was recruited by UGA, went to Mississippi State. Now was at Tech.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So the offense looks really good. What do you expect to see? You kind of already talked about it a little bit. I think last year you guys were about maybe top 40 in the country in points per game, but I really, having 10 returning starters, I can only see improvement coming from there. And that was a good year. I think 31 points a game.
Yeah, and I think total yardage we were top 25. Yeah, I mean, I would just, if we could hold serve offensively as far as the production, which I think we can, and our defense steps up, I think Tech could have a good year, for sure.
Right. So I know you already talked about this, the defense. So defensively last year, you all were ranked 97th out of 133 teams in points per game given up. I know they were ranked worse in the ACC, and I know you guys had a shakeup in the defensive room, or the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So you guys added Tyler Santucci, who was at Duke last year, and I know if you get anything of what he was able to do at Duke, that's with the way the offense looks, that could be huge. What do you expect him to bring to your defense?
Well, first of all, let me go back and talk about last year, which was the biggest debacle ever. So we fired basically 2 DCs last year.
Right.
We demoted Thacker, which is a curious decision, who is one of the few holdovers from the Jeff Collins era. And for anyone that watches my channel, I have a current challenge out to Jeff Collins to cage fight me. I haven't heard anything yet.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's been dodging. But we turned over the entire defensive staff. We were ranked 126 in total yards given up.
Right.
I think there's only 133 teams.
133. Yep.
So that tells you a lot right there. And the biggest problems we had were in the front 7 or front 8, depending on what kind of defense you run. We couldn't get much of a pass rush. We lost our best defensive lineman in Kyle Kennard to South Carolina in the portal. Now we brought some things in, but linebacker play is probably the worst I've seen historically at Tech, like ever, in the whole time that I've watched them. So yeah, we wiped the entire defensive staff. There's not a single defensive coach on this current staff that was there last year, which makes sense when you're 126 ranked defense.
Right.
With Tyler Santucci, part of the concern I had initially was, well, how much of his success is Mike Elko, and how much of it does it kind of stand on his own merit? I've really changed my tune since then. He's done everything you could expect a guy to do without playing a game yet. We've brought in Romello Height, defensive lineman out of USC. That was a huge get. It seems like Tech kind of stepped above their pay grade to get him there. We brought in EJ Lightsley from UGA, Jackson Hamilton from Louisville. So we've got some pieces that have come in. And when you hear Santucci talk, he's a young guy, enthusiastic, seems to be saying all the right things. And the question is, to really be successful on this schedule, and this is a big ask, you would have to make as big as an improvement on defense as you did offensively last year, which means going from like 126 to 26.
Right.
Which is hard to expect, but I don't know. I think if we can just get in the top 60, we can do some good things. But he's running a 4.25, which is like what everyone runs now, basically.
Right.
So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. I know I've seen, and you guys got quite a few transfers in on that defense. The secondary, I think you guys added one that's, I believe, is going to be a starting corner, maybe Gibbs. Is it?
Yeah, so there's Warren Burrell out of Tennessee, and then the Gibbs guy is out of Rhode Island. He's like one of the top portal guys out of like the next level down.
Right.
Lot is expected of him.
Right. And then I know, I think maybe some linebacker transfers. It looked like you didn't have a whole lot on offense in the portal, but a lot of defensive players maybe added to the roster. And I know I was listening to another Georgia Tech podcast as well, talking about really exactly what you just said, big problems just getting to the quarterback last year, and that defensive front seven. So,
and we're pretty talented on the back end of the defense. We got like I interviewed him on the channel. Clayton Powell-Lee, kid out of Westlake. I don't know how familiar you are with Georgia. Westlake is like where Cam Newton played at high school. A lot of good players come out of there. And so we got a lot of talent in the secondary. The problem is when you can't get to the quarterback, there's only so long you can cover. I don't care how talented you are. And you can make up for deficiencies in the secondary if you can just get to the quarterback. If you only have 2.5 seconds to get the ball out, you can't throw the ball downfield.
Right.
That's where we got.
Yeah, I'm also NFL wise, I'm a Commander fan, and unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, die hard. And when we drafted that, our defensive line was all first round picks, and the hope was these guys are going to get to the quarterback because the secondary was rough, but they didn't get to the quarterback like expected, and exactly what happened. None of those guys or all those defensive ends are now gone. So I definitely feel you there.
And you can scheme some things up like stunning with your linebackers. But I mean, you got to have the what do they say? The Jimmies and the Joes.
Oh yeah.
I think we're improving on that front. We're going to struggle with depth this year, probably no matter what.
Right.
So we'll see.
Well, I guess it'll probably take some time for Santucci to, kind of get his guys there to run exactly what he wants to run. So definitely something to be optimistic about, I believe, with the Georgia Tech team. And last year, I know you guys were 7-6. You won your bowl game. Would y'all play UCF, I believe, in the bowl? And then the thing that's tough this year, I just want to bring your schedule up. The schedule's tough.
Yes, it's rough. Opening with Florida State and Ireland, which I hate. I hate playing. That's a home game for us, so that counts as a home game, even though it's on another continent.
Yeah, you're opening with Florida State, and then Georgia State's one you should win, and then the thing that really stands out to me looking at your schedule is and I know you don't want to hear me say I'll start at North Carolina. Well, let's go to Louisville at Louisville. You got Duke at home, at North Carolina, then Notre Dame, and then at Virginia Tech.
They're on the rise.
And that's a tough home environment or a road environment for y'all. Miami at home, which their over under is I don't recall, maybe 9.5, which for me, I feel like it's a little high. I get it. We say every year, it's just like Miami's kind of, what's that?
They keep saying we're back.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. They've got a ton of talent. Talent's never been their problem, though. They got to prove that they can meet expectation, which I don't think they've done in 20 years.
Right. Now, I agree. Real quick on Miami too. Like we're Virginia fans, and we go and play Miami every year, and we're underdogs. And I feel like we have their number. I mean, they beat us some, but we haven't been very good in years, and I don't know what it is. It's like something about. I always say sometimes, and in the past, I mean, Miami, we've watched them win national titles, but sometimes I say, whatever that jersey you have on, like I always say the Clippers are my example. I don't care if you bring Kawhi Leonard. I don't care if you bring Michael Jordan in his prime to LA to play for the Clippers. It's Clippers on the chest. Something bad's going to happen. And Miami, that's how I feel with Miami football now. It's like every year the talk is, that big things are coming, and then something happens or derails it or just
against Georgia Tech and refuse to take a knee. And get you gotta avoid that. And I think that's another good conversation to have in the ACC, especially. Certain teams just have certain teams' numbers. We have North Carolina's numbers. They've won one of the last 6 against us.
Right.
And North Carolina has Miami's number.
Right.
Virginia's had Georgia Tech's number. We've won one of the last 4 against y'all.
I say Virginia's had North Carolina's number 2, but the Georgia Tech. Since you mentioned it. We played y'all. This has been 2 years ago, I believe, in Charlottesville, and Virginia won the game. I want to say Virginia was up 3 scores with, I swear, 5 minutes to go.
Oh yeah, I remember
And
this.
we were like, you know what? We walked probably about a mile and a half from where we're parked to the stadium. So we were like, me and the kids are like, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start the walk. It's 5 minutes to go. And so it was a night game. As we come out the stadium, Georgia Tech scores a touchdown, and then I hear they get the onside kick. I was like, okay, no biggie. They go score again, and we're walking, and I got the phone out, and it says they've recovered another onside kick, and here we go again. I mean, I thought we were going to lose the game.
We turned the cheat code on. It didn't end up working out. It's like we turned a cheat code. I mean,
Right.
what is the probability for recovering an onside kick? It's got to be like 1% or less.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was like you put the game genie in from the Nintendo back in the day, and
There you go.
I mean, it was unreal. But and then the last thing before I'll continue, you guys also got us, and I don't know what your age is, but Jay and I we're in our mid 40s, and the year in 1990 in Charlottesville and making that field goal and putting it in, the only time we've been ranked number 1 in football.
Yeah, I'm in my mid 30s, so I don't remember the 90s season, but yeah, man, that was something. That was Siskin. I'm trying to think of the kicker.
Yeah. Yep. There is a on the ACC channel, on the ACC network, they have an episode with guys from that game discussing that one. That was devastating for us, but I'm glad we won something in basketball, because the only thing we could ever talk about was we were ranked number 1 in football at one time.
Yeah, and you had like a redemption arc in your basketball, because you were the first number 1 seed to lose to a 16, and then you redeemed yourself and won it all the next year.
Yeah. So anyway, so looking at your schedule, I know your over under is 5.5. I know this is way too early. What kind of final prediction do you have for your team?
Well,
Florida's.
I'll tell you this: I despise gambling, but and I've only made one bet on YouTube, and it was with a Miami fan, and I took the over last year, and he just paid me $100 on that. I wouldn't be confident enough to put $100 on it. I'd take the over on 5.5.
Okay.
I do think Tech can get to 6, but I think it'll be tough. Like if you just run through the schedule, just kind of trying to be objective, probably lose to Florida State. And Georgia State's a dangerous game. Georgia State's the kind of game that Tech loves to lose. But I'll say you got to find a way to beat Georgia State. Syracuse is an interesting team right now. They got Ohio State's quarterback. They're making all these waves in the portal. I don't know where I have a friend that lives in Syracuse. I'm like, where are y'all getting all this money from? Like, I've never seen anything like this going on at Syracuse. First year head coach, I think we can get that one. VMU, if you can't win that game, then I need to delete the channel. I can't get Bowling Green. At Louisville, and talk about heartbreakers. We were beating the brakes off of them last year at half. I was in the booth for that game, or in the suites for that game.
Okay.
And in fact, at halftime, our AD came into the suite, and everyone's like, the atmosphere was electric. And then, I was just trying to shout that loss out of my head on the way home. I don't know if we can beat Louisville, though. That'd be 2 losses. Duke, I feel bad for Duke. I predicted this would happen. I said Mike Elko is a fantastic coach, and someone's going to get him, and your team's going to be cannibalized in the portal. We should be able to beat Duke.
Yep.
The most automatic win on this schedule is North Carolina. Not only can they not beat us, we've rattled off 3 in a row. We beat them with a 3rd and 4th string quarterback the year before last. But then they hire the worst head coach in the history of college football as their DC. So I think they're in for a rude awakening. They're already blacking out their spring game as they're afraid their secret sauce is going to get out. So that's an automatic dub. Virginia Tech, man, I don't know. I think between like Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Georgia State, you probably drop one of those. I don't think you win them all. Miami's going to be a tough game. NC State and at Georgia. So let's see.
And what about Notre Dame game?
Oh, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's at the Benz.
Right.
I don't see us beating Notre Dame right now. I think that the talent differential is so great, and Tech's still in a rebuild right now.
Right.
I don't see us beating Notre Dame. So what's that? One, Florida State's a loss, Louisville, Notre Dame, NC State, Georgia, and then one of the three I mentioned. That'd be 6-6. Give me
So,
that.
okay. Cool. Do you do you go to all the football games, or
I go to every home game, and then I've started something where I want to go to at least one away game and see a stadium I haven't seen. So last year I went to Oxford.
Okay.
Didn't get the. Let me do some coach speak here. We didn't get the result we wanted there. That was a long ride home, but it was cool to see Oxford. And this year I'm actually going to Syracuse, and I'm definitely going to Chapel Hill. In fact, I am recruiting a team to bring with me, and if Jeff Collins is on the field, I'm going to buy all the seats up behind where he stands.
Oh man, I'm going to be tuned in for sure for that.
Yeah.
I've been going to all the home Virginia football games. This year's just not going to be able to happen. Just the schedule just not going to work out. We live about 2.5 hours from Charlottesville, so we normally make the drive. And when Jay and I were younger, we traveled the ACC schedule to up and down the East Coast. He even went, I want to say 2004, Virginia was ranked number 10 playing Florida State, who was like number 3. And that fool drove all night to Tallahassee. And his ride back, all he could hear was the whoa, because I think we got beat by about 40 points in typical Virginia fashion. And crazy enough, I was on my honeymoon. I had just got married, and I VCR recorded the game and got home tonight from our honeymoon, and I popped that thing in. I was like, God bless it. It was a waste of time, but
that's why I would like to go to Ireland, but I don't want to spend $4 or $5 grand and then maybe get my brain
right
in. And it sucks twice for him going to Tallahassee, because it's like, oh, we're going to Florida. Yeah,
right.
Well, Tallahassee's no different than Valdosta, Georgia, or South Georgia.
Right.
Not that exciting.
Right. Well, yeah, I wanted to thank you for coming on tonight. I just wanted to kind of get a little Georgia Tech football talk in. Could you tell everybody where they can find the Rec Talk podcast?
Yeah, it's just Rec Talk on YouTube, at Rec Talk, spelled WRECKTLK. Doing cool things there. I'm a little more adversarial probably than most, but that's what I like about college football. We all like to trash talk. It's what makes it fun. And they can find me there. I'm on Twitter too. I think someone hacked one of my accounts. I had to make another one. So I think it's at rec_talk.
Got you. Yeah, definitely give him a follow on YouTube and check out his podcast. I've now that we were bringing you on, I've watched a bunch of your stuff, and it's some entertaining stuff. So, especially all the comments and from X or Twitter, whatever you call it now.
Oh yeah. People get in their feelings. They want to come at the GOAT, and it don't work out well for them.
Oh yeah, but definitely check them out at Rec Talk, and we really appreciate you coming on tonight, and hope you have a great evening.
Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, that was Rec Talk joining us tonight on the ACC College Huddle. I'd like to thank him for coming on. I did want to talk a little ACC baseball while I was here as well. So the ACC is red hot when it comes to baseball. The offenses especially have been red hot. And so I did want to kind of go over a little bit of the ACC baseball, some stats that have really stood out to me. We're going to start right here. So right now, currently, there are 7 teams ranked in the top 25 of the RPI in baseball. We got Clemson, who's ranked number 4, UNC number 6, FSU number 7, Wake Forest number 11, UVA number 12, Duke 18, and NC State 24. And also, I believe, and I read this early, and I can't recall, it's projected, I want to say 6 of these schools will be hosting regionals. So, starting out, ACC baseball is red hot. And what's really hot, and I want to make sure we look at this, Power 5 conferences, non-Power 5 conferences. The ACC leads all conferences in batting average, on-base percentage, runs, hits, doubles, triples, total bases, RBIs, and old school baseball, sac flies, getting the runs in. I'm a defense guy. I like a good pitcher's duel. But the offense is red hot in the ACC right now. And when I see sac flies, it kind of gets me a little excited. Maybe somebody's laying a bunt down and getting somebody from first to second, or bunting somebody second to third, a sac fly to the outfield, get a man on third, a ground ball to the right side, gets the run in. I'm all about the small ball, but the ACC is not, because the ACC is hitting the baseball. And those are just categories they're leading in. Home runs, there's a lot of home runs being hit. We're Virginia people. I'm running one of the hosts on the Virginia podcast, the Cavalier Connection. I do want to mention Virginia's ranked 2nd in the nation with a team batting average of 342. 342. Virginia is hitting the baseball, and they're second in the nation in total number of hits. So, of course, if your batting average is 342 as a team, your hit totals are going to be high too. I will say the Virginia pitching staff has had some struggles this year, but they're putting up the offensive numbers to have them winning baseball games. And then also Virginia Tech, our rival, but they are hitting the ball as well. They're 10th in the nation in batting average at 317. So ACC baseball is red hot. Now, I do want to give a few of these defensive stats. I'm starting right here. Wake Forest, Florida State, and Duke all rank in the top 7 nationally in strikeouts per 9 innings. So there are a lot of strikeouts being had. All 3 of those teams are ranked in the top 25 in RPI. And I think all 3 of those teams, definitely Wake Forest and Florida State, will probably be hosting a regional in the tournament. Another Virginia stat, Angelo Torres. He's logged 112 appearances in his career, and that's the most amongst all Division I active players. That's Angelo Torres. And then my final pitching stat I want to mention is Wake Forest pitcher Chase Burns. He was named the conference pitcher of the week last week, which was, last week in April, early May. And that's the 4th time this season that he has been given that honor. He also leads all of the active Division I pitchers with 344 career strikeouts. That's quite the accomplishment. If you think about college baseball and the amount of offense there is in college baseball, and 344 career strikeouts, that's pretty impressive. That does lead me to this week's ACC Spotlight Athlete of the Week, and that is Chase Burns, Wake Forest pitcher Chase Burns. He's a transfer in from the University of Tennessee, but like I said, he's been named ACC Pitcher of the Week 4 times, and he leads all Division I active pitchers with 344 strikeouts. So congratulations to Chase Burns as our Athlete of the Week. Also going on right now is college ACC softball ladies tournament is going on. Lacrosse, NCAA getting ready to get started up. A lot of exciting stuff within the ACC. College baseball is winding down And so the ACC tournament will be coming up here soon. A lot to be excited about. But overall, ACC baseball, red hot. Georgia Tech football, as we discussed tonight with the Rec Talk, bringing back up their schedule here. Rec Talk has them over 5.5. You know, I've taken a look at all these. I have to say I picked an under here when Jay and I did our picks. Florida State in Ireland, I flex an L. Georgia State's a win. Syracuse, even we give them a win there. VMU a win, that would be 3. At Louisville, I think it's an L. Duke at home is a win. I know he says at North Carolina is a guarantee. We'll see. Notre Dame, I think, is an L. Virginia Tech, that's just a tough environment at Virginia Tech. That's an L. Miami at home, that's at home. I could see that one going either way. NC State either way. At Georgia, give me Georgia. I really, my pick is maybe 5 and 7 for Georgia Tech, but I could see 6 and 6. But that schedule is mighty tough. But when you have a quarterback like Haynes King, who can, you know, dual threat, run the football, pass the football, and I expect improvement, maybe less turnovers. And for Georgia Tech fans, hoping their defense will be a little bit better this year. A little bit of improvement on defense, maybe take a little bit of risk out of Haynes King's throwing, and them having to make, you know, comebacks due to turnovers or, you know, silly mistakes. So I think 5 and 5 is a good number, and I would take the under. Rec Talk says the over. He has them 6 and 6, 7 and 5. Be interesting to see, but I do want to mention, thank them for coming on tonight. And I also want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to the ACC College Huddle. Check us out on YouTube at the College Huddle Podcast. Also check out thecollegehuddle.com for podcasts and articles about all of your favorite ACC schools and other conferences as well. And then finally, you can find me and my other co-host, Jay and Jack, on the Cavalier Connection Podcast. Follow us at Cavalier Connection Podcast on YouTube or on X at Talk UVA Sports. If you're watching this, whenever you watch this, give us a follow, give us a like. If you have any questions or anything you'd like us to discuss on the ACC Huddle, please reach out. Let us know. We love additional topics. I know right now it's a little slower time within the ACC, but things are going to pick up. Spring ball has already happened. We'll have teams reporting for practice in the summer. Fall is going to be here before you know it. It's going to be football season. And during football season, the content is going to be quite a bit of content. ACC football, I'm excited for the season. There's 4 or 5 teams that are really picked. Their over-unders are 8.5 or higher. So it should be an interesting season. And then we'll just go right into basketball. So until then, if you have a topic or something you want to talk about, definitely comment, let us know, and something we'll talk about for sure. And if you go onto YouTube, like I said, give us a follow, give us a like, and also check out the Cavalier Connection Podcast as well, and give us a like and a follow. Check out the show, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you get us together, hopefully we'll make it at least fun for you, even if you're not a Virginia Cavalier fan. Other than that, I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next week, Friday night, 9 o'clock.